2 stores hit over $1 million. And this is all on a photography business that costs you $60,000, including your franchise fee.
I was working as a government contractor for the NASA International Space Station program and taking pictures on the side like a lot of moms, ridiculous moms with cameras. I can count and I can name every school that we have ever lost on my hand through 20 years. Our first franchise owner, he stood up and he had a little tear in his eyes and he says, I've tried for so long to make photography work for me and my family. And because of you, Melissa, thank you so much. I'm able to make a living doing what I love. We did bring on a franchise owner in the past. He came, he trained, and at the end of training, I'm like, this guy does not fit. He is not a good fit for us at all after spending a week with him. And we said, hey, sorry, we don't think this is right for you. Tore up that check and said, good luck.
Welcome, everybody. Super excited to be talking with Melissa. Spoiled Rotten Photography just dropped their new franchise disclosure document. And man, last year's looked great, but this year's even better. We had another 30+% growth year over year, mostly existing franchisees repurchasing and buying more. The average unit volume also went up 10% as far as revenue goes. And my favorite two metrics, I think, is we had 2 stores hit over $1 million, one franchise, one corporate. And this is all on a photography business that costs you $60,000, including your franchise fee to start up. So I'm extremely excited to dive into this. Melissa, welcome.
Thank you, Bennett. It's so good to be here.
Melissa, can you take us back to the beginning? Why did you start Spoiled Rotten Photography and what were you doing before that?
Oh my goodness. I was working as a government contractor for the NASA International Space Station program and taking pictures on the side like a lot of moms with ridiculous moms with cameras. So we were taking pictures on nights and weekends, and I was just burning the candle at both ends, really, just doing a full-time job and then doing nights and weekends taking pictures. And one day, a good friend walked into my office. She also worked in the NASA program. And she said, I wish you could take pictures at our preschool. And I went, I can do that. I mean, I can take a picture, right?
Yep.
But I had no idea what it meant to do school pictures or volume photography because all I've ever did was custom photography. So I, with my ignorance of what the industry was and what I was supposed to do, I did a custom experience the best I could using the technology that I had because I love technology and I love to make things efficient and asked the people at the daycare to one, sign up, and two, tell me about your kids, and three, tell me what you want. So I was bringing a custom experience and doing it in a volume way. And it went over like gangbusters. It was crazy. We kept, we would open back then, we didn't have online ordering, but we put the images online and then they ordered on a paper form and we would open up the envelopes. I can remember my husband and I were just open the envelopes and we're like, oh my gosh, look at that one. Look at that one. And we just got these kept coming in and coming in. And I was like, we really have something here. So when we discovered volume and how to actually make real money with custom photography, like semi-custom photography, it was like, wow, this is great. So we just decided to go all in and make it a great concept and provide it to other people. I just gave you my whole last 20 years right there.
Yeah. And then that's what I was going to get to. So timeline, that's been over 20 years. And then after a number of years, maybe what was it? 7, 8 years, you're like, let's franchise this.
Right.
And
Well, it took us 10 years to get it together, but I guess about year 9, I said, okay, like I can't continue to work here and do this too. And so my husband was like, you can do this. Quit your job. You can do this full time. I'm like, yes, I can. So I did it and took about a year and developed the proof of concept location, which is our Nashville location now. And started franchising in 2013.
And then since 2013, now you have 41 units open. And a lot of those are existing franchisees just repurchasing. They're like, okay, it's always really scary to jump into it, but it's like, okay, I got my first territory. I've made my money back. What do I do next? And then you can start rinse and repeat.
Rinse and
And
repeat.
I've loved to, I've loved talking to some of your franchisees and like, oh, wait, you were a corporate employee and now you have how many schools? That's super cool. So talking about preschools, I think that's one of the most interesting parts about your business. And the most advantageous is you don't have to go get a million customers. You can go get 30 schools with a 90+% retention, and you're just getting a few. Again, we're just doing preschools, and there's also a pretty big, demographic for it. There's lots of preschools, a lot more preschools than there are high schools. Um, but yeah, talk to me about the benefits of targeting it in on preschools rather than just saying we're a photography business. We'll do weddings, we'll do schools, we'll do high school, we'll do whatever.
Well, preschools are pretty special because one, like you said, you get one preschool and then you have 130 clients or
Hmm.
160. Actually, our largest preschool has 500 children in it. It's crazy. But once you gain that account and the confidence of serving the school well, the parents, um, they benefit from the school. So the school keeps you there. We have a very high retention rate. And then for us, because we're a semi-custom business, it's kind of like you're gaining all of those clients because of the type of product we provide.
Yeah, so you're making the sell with the preschool, establishing a relationship. It's not a hard seller
Yes.
at all, right? Because they're not actually buying anything. They are choosing to use you for a better experience, and then the parents are paying also for that better experience. But the sell is pretty easy. And then once you have that one sell made, now you can have, 20 clients or 500 clients potentially. And then every year it keeps coming back because you always have new students. Now, that all sounds amazing. And then also you mentioned retention rate. What is the retention rate? Like if I'm going to sign up, 10 schools this year, how many of them are probably going to be with me next year?
I don't know that number exactly. I should, but very high. I can count and I can name every school that we have ever lost on my
Over 20
hand.
years?
20 years. I sure can in Huntsville. Sure can. And I'm still sore about some of them. And a lot of them will lose and then they'll come back
Yeah.
just because
Well,
they think, oh, we want a cheaper provider. And then they're like, no, we want service and we
we
want
want
this.
sanity. We'll pay $5 for the
And
sanity.
another thing about the schools too that is really cool for them is that we profit share, like we give them a commission. So once the schools get used to having amazing service and an easy day because we're providing all the systems and processes that make it easy for them and a great big commission check because more people are buying the pictures because they're beautiful.
Yeah. So you said you could count on one hand, on your hands all the clients you've lost over 20 years, which is a lot more than, keeping 9 out of 10 clients per year. And from the interviews that I've conducted, everybody that I've talked to is above 90%, which is just like, what? I'm sure if we dove into your numbers, I mean, Huntsville did $1 million, 20 years, only losing a handful of clients. I mean, that's an extremely, extremely high retention rate. So a lot of it is obviously the service, and you guys are specializing in, hey, we just do preschools. So the photographers we're going to send you, they love kids. And maybe that's going to transition to us. Like, who's the best franchisee? Who's made the best franchisees, and what are those qualifications?
I do need to correct right there because we do start off with preschools 100%. But we are also in the elementary, middle, high school market for
Hmm.
yearbook pictures. Like, so it's a natural progression because all of the preschoolers kind of grow up, and that's kind of how it started. But we do also provide yearbook services for, we call them big schools, primary schools, K through 12s, mostly elementary schools. The large company that provides a lot of the services has not been doing a great job lately, and we have been picking up a lot of accounts. I will say that. And then we might need to go back and revisit about the preschools because the way we start out is yes, you start out as an owner operator in preschools, and then you'll build your teams and then probably move into elementary school yearbook, which that's the reason that Huntsville is able to get over $1 million. Like half of our profit is coming from yearbook, not just preschools. Because we're a very a smaller market, like, we have 500,000 people here.
I love that your guys' strategy is preschools, and it's not just preschools, but it's mostly preschools, right? You're starting in as an
In the
owner
beginning, yes.
operated, like,
Mhm.
let's jump in, get the preschools, and then there's expansion from there. Why did you decide to start with preschools? And then how do you expand from there? What are the other revenue opportunities?
Right. Well, we love preschools, one, because there's so many clients in one place, like we talked about before, and the kids are little. Like, have you seen a 6-month-old and a 1-year-old? Like, you have kids, right?
Yes, yep.
How
I have
much
a
do they
5-year-old, we
change?
just did his pictures.
Yeah. So, a 6-month-old looks completely different than a 1-year-old, and the 1-year-old looks completely different than the 2-year-old. So there's just lots of different opportunities and milestones, right, that you can capture for these families. So these families want this product, they want the pictures, and they change so much so quickly when they're that age. That so it's just the perfect place for us. And plus, we go in for spring pictures, fall pictures, holiday pictures, cap and gown pictures. And then a lot of our owners are doing like summer sibling sessions too. So there's just lots of different times and opportunities that you can be into one school, 4 times a year. So it's awesome.
So you're getting, yeah, you sell one customer, and again, you're not really having to collect money from them. You're just selling them on the concept, and then now you have dozens and dozens of clients a few times a year potentially, and then it's also reoccurring, and then your retention rate is above 90%. And that's kind of where it's just like, that's where all the magic comes in, and, and it kind of
And
clicks
it's
into
fun and it's super fun too.
it's
Like
really
you're
fun.
getting to play with kids all day. So
So what do
it's
you do
awesome.
after like where I'm in preschools, right? I have 10, 20, maybe 30 schools. I start building out teams. I have some photographers. Where's those natural next steps for revenue?
Awesome. Yeah. So your little preschoolers, you do their preschool cap and gown, and then they go to big school. And when they get to big school, kindergarten, first grade, elementary school, the parents are like, "What just happened? I had these great pictures for 5 years of their lives, and now we have one image to choose from that their hair's messed up and they've got this crazy look on their face." Like, so it's just natural for them to want our services in the elementary school yearbook. And that is exactly what has happened to us in Huntsville. And we have just grown and grown and grown to where half of our profit now is from yearbook pictures as well.
That's amazing. So I mean, so again, Huntsville, you can look at on the franchise disclosure document, $1 million in revenue, and you're saying half of that preschool, and then the other half has been from yearbooks. And same concept,
Pretty
one
much.
school, and you have um, the entire student body that you've now
Our
just sold.
largest one is like 1,800 kids. So it's a little bit different model. You have to provide other services and products. You have to deal with the yearbook,
Mhm.
PSPA files and admin files, but we know and we figured it out and we have made it into a system, and it is something we train, and the owners can walk into it. Like, you start out small, about 10 to 15 schools, then you'll hire your first team, and then when you get about 2 or 3 photographers, you can go into yearbook.
Okay, and then does Easy Go? Maybe let's jump into that. Can you tell us a little bit about your software that you guys have been custom building for the last several years? And does Easy Go help with the yearbook portion as well?
Absolutely, yes. So we have made everything that we can as easy for everybody. So if it can be automated, we automated it. Like, super vulnerable right now. I have a learning disability, a huge one. I am as dyslexic as you come. I'm like I can't spell a thing. Don't ask me to do any grammar. Don't ask me to repeat any numbers. I will transpose them. I'm super dyslexic. So very early on, we started developing software just to help me not make mistakes. That's honest right there. And it has just built and built and built. And now it is such a workhorse. It does so much stuff for us. It integrates everything from customer acquisition all the way to orders being placed at the lab. It has all kinds of management tools to help you. Your goals are in there, your KPIs are in there. It really makes everything super easy and in one place for everybody.
Yeah, can you kind of walk me through an example of that? So I want to go pick up another yearbook, or I want to pick up um, a preschool. I talk to the client, they're like, cool, love this. What are my next steps? And then, yeah, how am I leveraging the system? How much do I need to know versus I just need to follow?
So for the yearbook specifically, right? So the schools typically are used to giving you a list of contacts. So the child, what class they're in, all that kind of stuff. So our system brings it in, creates a barcode. So that barcode number follows that student throughout the entire process, from taking the pictures, downloading them, uploading to the galleries. The system also automatically will, of course, send out reminders when the proofs are ready, reminds you to order, and sends out a survey after you've ordered. Why didn't you order? Or what did you love about your order? So we have just kind of tried to take the whole client journey and make sure that it's as automated and as helpful as it can be. And then on the back end, after the parents have ordered, you push a button, it goes to the lab, sends it to the customer. So we're integrated, our software is integrated with the lab as well. And let's see, I feel like I'm blabbling here. It does so many things for us. It creates the PSPA file, it creates the admin files. It just makes it super easy for us to give the schools everything that the big company can provide them to, because most schools are used to having all of these things. And the independent photographer found it hard to do them because they don't have the systems of the software. But we have all the systems and software that we can compete with the big guys.
And then the individual photographer, it's like, well, it's not worth it for me to create all these systems because I just don't have, if I'm doing a few $100,000 a year or whatever. But that's where franchising comes in. It's like, okay, well, they not only have the funding to do it, but they have the experience and they know what to do.
That's
But
right.
yeah, I've looked at that software and I've met with Scott and I was super impressed. I'm like, "Dude,
Isn't he a
I could
genius?
take pictures. I mean, I would
Yeah.
need to learn how to take pictures, but I don't need to understand the business and the workflow. And he explained it all to me. I'm like, you just are taking the pictures. The customer is going in, they're choosing what they want. And if they want prints, it just prints them and mails it to them. I'm like,
Pretty much.
sweet.
Yeah.
But I love that. What are the other things, like, as you've seen such big success with your franchisees, where are your current franchisees coming from? Are they photographers that were looking for systems or people that just wanted to start a business? And yeah, speak to me a little bit about the franchisee profile and how that's been.
Gosh, we have several like avatars of who they are, but sometimes they are current photographers, mostly people in the early stages of their business that are figuring out, wow, it's really hard for me to make money. And I'm spending a lot of time, nights, weekends away from my kids. So that's one avatar. Another's teachers. Like we see teachers converting from like, I want to work with kids, but I don't want to be in the classroom all day. So, and then just a mixture of other people. We have some, military retirees, couple of those. They make great franchise owners. People come escaping from the corporate world. So we have
So
a couple of
they could
IT
come.
managers.
So the background doesn't matter as much, right? Because the system's there. So what are like the qualifications or the skills or the um, beliefs, I should say, like what is that franchisee? Who makes a good franchisee?
I think the person that makes a good franchisee is somebody who, 1, wants to work with kids and is a people person. Like, you have to it's a people business. You need to be a people person. 2, of course, if you need to appreciate good photography, but you don't have to be a professional photographer by any means. 75% of our owners were not professional photographers before they joined us.
And
I
is
think
that
another
part of the
thing.
training then?
Oh, sure, yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. So we have a month, what we call phase 1 training or pre-training, where if you're not a professional photographer, it's gonna give you all of the photography skills, um, that need to get you to training, and then there's 6 days of in-person training where we are taking pictures nonstop and just talking about all of the processes that actually capture the images. So that is 100% trainable.
Okay. And that speaks to a lot of the like the competitive advantage as to why people switch from an existing service. Like Life Touch is kind of the big one. You kind of just get whatever photographer, right? It's not like here's a specialized person that just works with kids and we vetted them to just like kids. Um, is that, yeah, I guess speak to me a lot. What's the customer experience like when you're working with Spoiled Around Photography, when you guys are specialized versus a Life Touch that does a lot more different things, I guess.
Well, I don't wanna speak poorly about any competitor, but I would say that we provide a somebody who loves to work with kids, like, they're especially vetted for that, and especially trained to be, a person who's gonna connect with the kids, and that allows you to get a great expression. The other thing is we're not like a sit, click, move on operation. Like, the schools that we work with know that we spend a little bit more time with the kids, and because we do that, we can get more authentic expressions and provide them with a larger proof set. So it's just a different model than the typical large volume school photography.
Yeah. You definitely have, again, you guys are, I mean, but you guys are getting large. You're starting to get large. You guys are 40 something odd units. What does the future look like for Spoiled Rotten Photography and kind of that growth? And how have you guys grown so far?
Well, I think that the one thing is we are super concerned with keeping our culture and our core values. We have an amazing group of franchise owners. Like there is nobody in our system that doesn't have our core values, and everybody, of course we're a family, right? So families do have squabbles sometimes, but I would say we have an amazing franchise family and we want to find like-minded people, and that's so important to us. We did bring on a franchise owner in the past. He came, he trained, and at the end of training, I'm like, this guy does not fit. He is not a good fit for us at all after spending a week with him. And we said, hey, sorry, we don't think this is right for you. Tore up that check and said, good luck. You know, so we are most concerned with bringing on people that have our core values, that are joyful, that respect others, that want to make a positive impact, that are generous, and that, are always trying to exceed expectations. So our core values are so very important to us, and finding the people that have those core values, that love kids and want to run a business,
Yeah, I
it's
love.
hard, right?
I love the focus on to rip up a big franchise check, is
uh,
hard, but you
it
look at
wasn't hard.
the other end and it's like, yeah, it's not hard when you could see the big picture. And it's like, well,
Right.
no, I have a business that's we've been around for 20 years, 40 locations. Your average business, yeah, I mean, it's like what half of businesses go under after 5 years, you're at 20 years, you know what I mean? And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with like, no, we know what we want, we're not gonna deviate that. Like, we know the people that are successful, and let's just rinse and repeat, which is the beauty of franchising, right? Is
I
to
think
be
so.
able to say, "I don't need to go relearn and retrain and everything." Because, like, the average franchisee last year made around $60,000, and again, the startup cost is only around $60,000. So it's like, how where else are you kinda getting that return? But what has been the most rewarding, part of being a franchisor and kind of watching all of these franchisees and especially like, I mean, a lot of them, a ton of them have 2 or 3, 4 locations.
Right. I think the most rewarding thing for me is we created something that's helping them achieve their dreams. That's it. It's so simple. I'll never forget, I think it was our 3rd or 4th franchise conference. I think there was like 6 of us sitting in a room and we called that a conference. And Will, who's our, first franchise owner, he stood up and he had a little tear in his eyes and he says, I've tried for so long to make photography work for me and my family. And because of you, Melissa, thank you so much. I'm able to make a living doing what I love. And it just solidifies, what we're doing is important and it's our purpose too. You could see, I see our little wall in the back. I have all of my franchise owners in my office. So when I come into my office, I look at my wall and I can remember why. Why are we doing this? We're doing this to support these families and they're supporting other families too. So it is our purpose and my joy to be able to support our franchise.
Yeah, I love that you just mentioned they're also supporting other families, and
Yes,
I
right.
assume it's because most photographers, like, you're just gonna be a photographer kind of forever, right? But the system that you guys have built is you're a photographer while you're figuring out the system, and then here's a clear path on how to hire photographers and then go get more schools and expand to more territories. Can you explain a little bit about that and how why that's important in the business? And like, what percentage of your franchisees do you feel like are following that path and like that path versus like, no, I just want to run it all by myself, single photographer?
So used to when we started, I'd say probably for the first 5 or 6 years, we were a owner operator model. And our mindset has shifted in the last maybe 10 years too, because when we started seeing franchise owners hire other photographers and train them well, like make sure that they were a great representation for their brand and for Spoiled Rotten Photography, how much we could do, it was nuts. I think we thought, we're just going to stay owner operator. But when we learned we could scale and expand, and then the franchise owners would actually have an amazing asset that they could sell when they were done. That was kind of life changing for me because this isn't just a lifestyle brand. Like you can buy a franchise and have a job. You can. And probably make pretty good money. You could replace your income with it. But with our progression and the model that we've got set forth, you can really make a legacy for yourself, support your family, and it's life changing, really. Have a legacy and then have an asset to sell.
Yeah.
Most photographers do not, like, very, very few photography business are able to sell because they are the only asset. Like, what they're doing is the only thing that they have. With this, you have a complete business that you can actually
Yeah.
sell. It's amazing.
And you can look in the item 20 because I've spoken with several of the franchisees that have purchased or sold. And you're just like, yeah, most people, it's I'm going to run this photography business until I don't. And then
Yeah,
that's
until I
it.
die.
But it's like, wait, I just spent 3 years. I just spent 5 years, 10 years of my life. I have a book of business. They like the system. And then once I could get myself away from that system, and it's like it's a photographer that I hired that's following a system, then that's where it gets really scalable. And I love that. So the corporate store hit $1 million, but you also had a franchisee hit $1 million. And again, we're talking a $60,000 investment, and now you could get up to $1 million in revenue, which is absolutely crazy. What's the path to get there? How is that achieved from a franchisee?
I think starting with the little things and doing things right and taking care of your customer, of course, is the base of all of it. But we both, the Nashville and Huntsville both have teams of 6 photographers. So 6 photography teams can get you to about $1 million.
So
So
it's
and
not
there's also some support staff, like, so, at that level, we expect them to have 6 photographers and probably an office manager and a file processor.
so for a store like that, I mean, you have if I am running 6 photographers and an admin assistant, is this me working 80 hours a week because it's super busy, or is this taking away from some of my work because I'm delegating a little bit better? Like for you to run a corporate store that's doing $1 million and run the franchise, how's that possible?
It's very possible because we, believe in EOS. We run the entrepreneurial operating system. So I have an operations manager who pretty much runs all of Huntsville. So we have, I do a weekly meeting with them, and we have KPIs or scorecard that we run every week. And because we have processes and procedures and trained people, that's just what we do.
I love that. And then again, that's the offer. That's what I'm buying is cool. If Melissa's able to run a franchise with 40 units and her own location doing $1 million because of a system, let me have that system.
Uh,
So I love
but
that.
you have to do it too, right? It's a mindset thing, and we put a lot of effort into making sure that they understand the ownership mindset, not the operator mindset. So we want to move them from operator to owner very quickly.
Yeah, talk to me about operator versus owner. Most people, it's like, I want to own. And then you just get stuck in that operator mindset. And you're like, crap, I'm making probably less money because I get paid last and I'm working the longest hours. Talk to me about that though. Like, what is the lifestyle and the freedom that this provides or doesn't provide, right? As one, we're kind of starting out and running it ourselves, owner operated. And then a year down the road, I have a photographer too. Um, Talk to me about my schedule because I've heard some really cool things from other franchisees that are like, it's seasonal and you have a lot of free time, and if you're doing it right, you're never working when you don't need to be working, I guess,
When
like,
you
you're
don't
controlling your schedule,
That's
but
fair.
yeah, speak
And
to me on that.
you said if you're doing it right. So again, it's a mindset, it's a decision that you have to make. So if you are hiring the right people, following the systems, the processes and procedures, it's completely possible for you to have the freedom to own your business. And it's kind of cliche, but not have the business own you. So you just have to have the mindset that you're going to hire the right people. And it's a small business, right? So in small businesses, you're going to have people come and people go, but you have the processes and procedures to train new people. So it's always kinda like when you have hourly workers, it's it can be challenging, right?
Yeah.
But, we have such a fun model, it's not hard to find great people that want to work with kids.
Yeah, typically, that's the hardest part in the business is, staffing. Would you agree with that? Or what do you feel like? I mean, the business is great, but what's the catch here? What are those hard parts that maybe franchisees come in not expecting and they're like, okay, so that was a little bit more challenging, or I should have expected XYZ differently. Is there anything like that you can share?
I think for sure, like, because a lot of people have not owned businesses before, so they haven't hired people. They haven't had the experience of having people quit. So that's just kind of it's scary for a lot of people to have to be responsible for other people. But if you follow along with the process, and then you've got so many people that are doing it with you, so you've got support. So you're never alone in what you're doing. So there's best practices for everything. But I would say that yes, staffing is probably the most challenging for any small business. But finding a photographer, how many photographers are there out there? There are dozens and dozens. And you hear other photographers say, there's so many people in my market. Well, yes, but they're shooting nights and weekends. So you can find part time photographers that want to have something during the day when their kids are at school that work for you.
Is that are most of the employees kind of in that category because it's a seasonal work? And again, I'm going back to another franchisee that I spoke with, and she told me that that was one of her concerns. Was like, how do you get photographers part time? Because this is so part time. And then she's like, oh, that's a benefit. That's why I'm able to get photographers, because you find people with this skill that they don't want to work 40 hours a week for 50 hours, or sorry, for 50 weeks.
Back to the person that we want to hire too, they typically have kids. So they work when the kids are at school. And then when the kids are off for the summer, they're off with them.
So yeah, it makes that fit really nice. When do I want to start looking at hiring people? Like, is that maybe we'll start with the first 90 days. What does my first 90 days look like? And like, how do I get my first client? What support do I have? And then at what point do I want to start hiring a photographer?
We have we have an amazing marketing system, right? So all schools are kind of different and they're looking for different things, but what they're all looking for is amazing people who will treat them with respect and treat their kids with respect and have a smooth, no problem picture day. So we like to call it the painless picture day process. So once you find the schools that value having amazing photography and a smooth experience, it kind of sells itself because your images are amazing, right? And we've got all this beautiful marketing material to show them. So it once you get your people and you find your accounts and you get to about 10 accounts, then you need to look at hiring your first photography team.
Your guys' new FDD just came out and you guys had massive growth. I mean, 30% growth in store openings, 10% up on average unit volume, two stores hitting over $1 million, just insane. What was it? And it's not like everything just happened last year, right? You guys have had a really good growth year over year, but like what's going on? What happened last year for you guys to see so much growth?
Um, Mindset? I don't I'm not really even sure because we have some good healthy competition in the franchise. So, um it's just like the snowball effect, right? So we've just got some good momentum. Like we're
Mhm.
really, really getting great momentum and people are starting to know our name. So that's really cool. And I think another part is, and I kind of hesitate to say this, but one of the larger competitors is not doing a great job and we're picking up accounts.
Yeah, there's always like a kind of the why now, right? And you
Yeah.
see that a ton in different industries, especially schools. Like they want the personal touch. And that's really what's cool.
I will say though, because of that larger company not doing a great job, they're looking for options and they're finding us and they're staying with us. So I think that's one reason, and the other reason is that we've hit success, and we're the franchise owners that are just starting out are able to look at the other franchise owners that are doing a great job, and they're benchmarking. They're having meetings on the side. We have a monthly franchise meeting where we all get together and they're looking and sharing ideas. It's just a wonderful environment that we've created, and I think that there's only one way to go, and that's up.
I love that. And again, like the community is such a big part, and that's what I've loved. Anybody watching this video, go watch the other videos of the other franchisees. that's the number one indication of should I buy something? At least to me, it's like, did the
Yes.
people who already invested, did they like it? And did they invest more? And again, part of the growth last year was exactly that. It's people, they've already invested, they liked it, they got their money back, and then like, cool, let's rinse and repeat, which I really love. So, Melissa, this has been great. Last question. Somebody's watching this, listening to this, and they're thinking, they're kind of on the fence on should I apply? Should I look into this? What's that final thing that you would want them to know before making a decision on spoiled rotten photography?
Think that if you think that you, one, want to work with children, and two, feel like you fit in our culture. Do you love people? Do you want to make a difference in your community? And do you want to run a business? Right? This is an opportunity for you to be a business owner, not just an operator. You're not just buying a job, you're building something that could be life changing, legacy building for your family.
Which is included in the model. It's not like, every business has the option to be like, yeah, you could be an owner or an operator, but it's like you guys are actively pushing and providing support to say, this is the lifestyle that we're after as a business owner rather than a business operator, which I
Yes.
absolutely love. It's such a cool opportunity. There's not many, if any other franchises out there that you can invest that amount with that return, just like objectively top 1% for sure of all franchises. So congratulations for everything you've built and what a cool system.
Thanks, Bennett. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Melissa. See ya.